So did he have like a dozen bodyguards and like choppers flying overhead and snipers in the buildings, that kind of thing?
I can't attest to the snipers.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the point that they stay hidden?
Oh, that's true. Covert.
Yeah.
So how do you know that someone that was part of the group wasn't actually a sniper?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, wow. What are we talking about? You're going to find out. It's pretty exciting on the Wheelhouse Podcast. Now, hello, Catherine Bates.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Lovely to be back in the bunker for episode 80-something of this weekly extravaganza.
We are belting toward 100.
Yeah, I hope
We're
someone...
not quite sure how close, but we're close-ish.
Merksy, if anyone knows, it's Merksy. G'day, Merksy.
Hello, team. Wow, it's been a busy few days, huh?
Sure has. It sure has. Now, let's start at the very top. We got a lot to talk about today, including what required bodyguards, what's Pogacar up to, what is there to get excited about the Tour of Flanders, and of course, the one that I really struggled with saying first time around, but Gent-Wevelgem as well. How was that? Was that better?
That was very good.
Thank you.
You've upped your game in the last nearly 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's only taken no time at all. But let's start with the esports national championships. The cycling esports in real life for the very first time at QUT Gardens Point campus in Brisbane. This what I'd compare to a James Bond villain's lair, the Cube, this techie, incredible space where all the riders came together, and all of them I noticed were wearing big earmuffs, possibly to block out the commentary coming from a nearby building featuring your good self.
And your good self.
And yeah.
In fact, in the Cube, which is one of the biggest multimedia spaces for learning that a university has in the world, it's really incredible. You and I took up, we're about 10 metres high.
Oh.
Our noggins.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Giant noggins.
yeah.
Look at that. Giant noggins on the screen.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I feel like there's one thing missing in the bunker.
Go on.
The chairs.
Oh, those chairs, the actual video game chairs.
The actual video game chairs. I've never sat in one of those before. I don't know if this strikes you as surprising, but I'm not a gamer.
No? No?
No.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not. But they were remarkably comfortable.
Well, they'd need to
They
be
really
because
were.
we were in them for 5 hours.
5 hours.
What a dramatic event that was. Now, we were so excited leading up to this, and we've spoken a lot about the pathways that eSport provides and some great examples. We'll say that name again, Jay Vine, but he's not alone as far as cyclists who can do it virtually and then do it for real. And this was a massive step, I guess, along the way to making this event a big mainstream annual, this is here, this is happening. And I just thought the way it all came together, the athletes experiencing that we're here together, we're doing it together, there was camaraderie, there was tension, there was drama, there was buzz, was just a massive endorsement for the discipline and for its continued growth. I had an absolute bonanza of a night. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really great. And I think when a lot of people first thought about esports and virtual racing, they didn't really think about athletes so much as it was, your mum and dad in the garage. But it is.
It is.
I mean, they're world-class athletes, and some of the numbers they were putting out were really quite remarkable. But there's a lot of...
Speaking of numbers, so I'm just eating some
Merksy,
penne.
what are you eating?
What are you eating?
A bit of penne. I'm so hungry.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
Speaking of numbers, big numbers on YouTube, thousands of viewers.
Great.
And great numbers in from SBS On Demand. So
Awesome.
well done, you two.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're now... The Wheelhouse is now, live, legitimate TV hosts and stuff.
We have gone mobile, just like that. And I want to say, I give Merksy a shout out as well because I often speak to people about Merksy and say, other than being a dashing, handsome, debonair athlete, he's also a pretty good operator, a Walkley Award-winning operator, and we saw that in action as well. When the chaos hit and we saw a bit of drama in that second men's semi-final, and all of a sudden there's a dropout, there's another dropout. Wait a sec! Everything has stopped. The broadcast centre was going, all right, how should we go about this? And then the man, the myth himself, Merksy, it was like Steven Spielberg had arrived. It was like, you get over there, you go there, you shoot that, you see that line, you do that. It was a great effort to see everyone coming together. And I think being able to commentate through that, what was an unprecedented series of events, made it even more special.
Well, what it reminded me mostly is how good live sport is. Like, you can't read a results sheet and get any kind of feel about what happened. And even if you read a race report, it doesn't really go to the heart of watching it live and really experiencing the blow-by-blows and the emotions that come with it. I was exhausted.
And like the great executive producer Michael Pell said, don't tell me, show me.
Show me.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to do.
Yes, and Kate Tridden, the Tassie girl, she is the national esports champion for the women. Josh Wilson for the men. Both of them from the Apple Isle.
Yeah, what was it?
I mean, we figure it's because it's so cold down there that they're getting on.
They're inside.
On that a lot. But yeah, look, it was really hard-fought racing, I think, at the end of the day. And look, I raced the day before with one of the finalists, Emma Pratt. I got towelled up, Joel.
Oh, look.
Well and truly towelled up, back in retirement.
Yeah, look, difficult to go into a race against Emma Pratt and not get towelled up. I thought you held your head up beautifully, and I'm still curious about this comeback trail. It's been a long one, but that was
over.
A huge leap.
It's over.
I don't know.
I am firmly back. And we actually got in the post yesterday some beautiful jerseys from Grow Getters. This one is
that Race Fit? Looks Race Fit.
Yes, it's the UAE ADQ, like the women's World Tour jersey.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that will fit
Joel.
the 9-year-old.
Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, no.
And I thought, and there was also, we'll talk about it a bit more later, but Tom Boonen this week had a very interesting interview. And one of the things he said in his interview was, I was hungry for 10 years when he was racing, just talking about the diet and the nutrition. So my point is, Joel, after my Zwift race the other day, I had a nice little bag, including caramello koalas and the like, while I was commentating the next day, and I think I'm happy where I am.
And I want to mention we'll see.
And I'm not hungry, so...
Yeah, you're good. You're not... Yeah, okay. Well, I want to mention the almost golden bilby as well, because there were that many beautiful efforts and tenacious efforts that night that it's like we can't just celebrate the winners, so we gave out... You and Anna Mears have done this before, of course, giving out the bilby, I believe, to the best effort.
Yeah, Anna Russell, yep, we did.
Oh, it wasn't Anna Mears, my apologies.
No, look, Mearsy can be credited for pretty much...
Anything, yeah.
Anything.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, we did. We gave out the golden bilby, like the best and fairest, best on field kind of thing.
The bog.
Yes, and I actually think that, I mean, I'll have to do another Woolies order, but maybe this time we'll get actual golden bilbies, not bilbies that are pink. But I think we could apply this across the world tour.
I think so. I think it's here now.
Yeah.
Can I say my wife Lee has since consumed 2 of the bilbies? Yes.
No more bilbies.
No more bilbies.
Bilbies gone.
Bilbies banned. Bilbies banned. But no, it was really lovely to see, and congrats to everyone. I just want a couple of little mentions as well. Tilly Field. I was blown away by her, not only athleticism but the enthusiasm, the passion she had, and she was just so happy. She was just so happy to be there. And then I go from her to the veteran status of Vicky Whitelaw, who was just like, this is how you do this discipline, guys. Does anyone need any tips? Because this is exactly how you do it. Look, they didn't get the result on the day, but both showed so much, and it just showed that if that's that end of the sport, and the younger people are watching this coming through, that the future is in really, really good hands. Like much unlike my Xbox controller was the next day when I bought out a bike racing game just because I was so obsessed. It was called Descenders, and it was like a mountain bike. It wasn't anywhere near as exciting, I'll tell you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, look, it was awesome. It was so good to be part of it. Shout out to the QUT team as well, Nikki and co. You guys were awesome. And our roving reporters as well, Samil and Ash, salute to you both.
Yes, they were excellent.
It was really, really
all
good.
In all, I think they'll have us back.
Well, guys, just some late mail in discussions. Apparently, there's talks to woo Esports Worlds to Brisbane. So watch this space.
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. They are moving the model.
The Prez was there. He was impressed.
He was, El Presidente. They are moving the model to be more like a stadium sport. So moving forward, it won't just be people dialing in from their living rooms, literally their garages.
I think the actual
people racing
the
together.
Athletic element of it, because you see video like esports of games that you do just sit on your ass and hold a controller and play. The energy they create live is huge, but when you actually have athletes busting their guts and they're doing it live and it's still esports, that energy is pretty hard to rival. It really is. So,
I agree.
Let's go. Viva la Brisbane. How exciting. All right, well, let's get on with it. Kate, Gent-Wevelgem. Now, you're a little bit excited. Are you ever not excited about a major bike race?
No. I mean, be worried about me if I am.
Yeah.
If I'm not excited, maybe I need a cuddle or something. I don't know. But I don't need a cuddle today because I am excited.
You're all good?
Yeah.
What's got you excited? Is it the revenge theory?
The weekend has got me excited.
Okay.
Well, first we saw E3 Saxo Classic and Wout fell on the cobbles and Mathieu won and he didn't wait and, you know, the internet was alight.
Didn't wait for Wout?
Didn't wait for Wout.
No, Wout wait.
Why should he wait for Wout?
I wouldn't go anywhere without Wout.
I would.
You wouldn't wait for Wout. You'd go without Wout. Wow.
You're trying to win.
Wait a
without
sec.
Wout.
Wowee, Kate. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Alliteration at its best. So he fell on one of the cobble climbs.
Yeah.
And the bunch pushed on, and there are a whole heap of people saying, but was that really sportsmanlike? Should he have waited?
Oof.
What has the world gone mad? At what time? It's not a Tour de France where he's the yellow jersey and it's not a critical moment, or even if it is.
Yeah.
It's a one-day classic.
Yeah.
Anyway, Van der Poel, he triumphed. Excellent, wonderful day. The next day, or 2 days later, Gent-Wevelgem. The king, dethroned.
Mm-hmm. That got the goosies going in a big way.
And there's a reason. So Mads Pedersen outkicked him at the final. Pedersen wanted a longer sprint. Mathieu van der Poel would have appreciated a shorter sprint, but Pedersen let out. But it was the interest around it that had me so excited, because Lidl Trek went in saying, we have nobody on the team that is as good as Mathieu van der Poel. And Mads Pedersen even said, look, no disrespect to my teammates, it's about me as well. We're just not at his level. So how can we try and beat him, knowing that if we go into it playing into his tactics, we have no chance? And by God, did they do it, Joel? By goodness, did they pull it off?
Yeah.
And it was in large part to Italian rider Jonathan Milan, who they called Johnny. And he's like a quite full-framed big rider, very strapping, usually seen in sprints, but they've kind of wooed him in and said, you can do big things in the classics. He ended up finishing 5th, but he started attacking quite relentlessly early on and made Van der Poel chase, wore him out, while Pedersen got to sit back and, you know, rest his legs and do it easy. And so when it came down to Pedersen and Van der Poel in the final, Pedersen just had a few more watts, simply because of the way it played out. It's interesting and it's very well played by Lidl Trek. And I think when we're in an age where we have a couple of the riders and, you know, Van der Poel, Pogacar, Van Aert, that can be so dominant, some of the teams have got to get a bit creative to beat them. Mm. And I love that they're doing that.
That they're actually executing it and pulling it off. And Mathieu knew it too. He pulled up a little bit early. He's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm cooked.
I'm done. We saw it a few years ago where he was 2nd or 3rd in a few big races that you thought it's a no-brainer that he'll win this. But back then it was because he was still on his development curve, and in my view, he hadn't quite gotten to the point where he could race that distance and still have good legs. He can now, and that's where the teams have had to really strategically think about how to wear him out. Not going along with anything, but going with a very clear plan of how to, you know, suck some of that wattage out. He was
imperious early, Mathieu, like mountain goating it away. Too much? Too soon?
No, I think it is hard because he has a good team.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the strength in his classics team that some of the other squads are turning up with.
Yeah.
And so going into Flanders, that'll be a really interesting note.
We were talking about this as well, these younger riders sort of like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, but I'm going to have a red-hot crack at it anyway. We saw it in esports as well, just like this is a seemingly insurmountable situation, but, you know, why the heck not?
Yeah, why the heck not? Well, in the women's, it was pretty cool too because Lorena Wiebes out-sprinted Balsamo in photo finish.
Yep.
So they didn't get to celebrate across the line. But Balsamo's been really consistent to date. Wiebes was also like, well, I know how good she was, but every year I've come here saying this is a real focus for me. Every year it hasn't quite worked. And also remembering that for Wiebes, she's on SD Works, she's got Vollering there, she's got Kopecky there. There's very few races she actually gets to say, this is the one for me. I want to target this. And so Gent-Wevelgem for her was one of those races. And she just timed it perfectly. She just really had the explosive sprint that we've come to know. But because she looked after herself for the race and the team took really good care of her and allowed her, same with the men, to get to the finish with those few extra watts.
Let's talk about Marlon as well, because, coming back 2023, yes, champion's privilege. Sorry, guys, it's nice to ride with you. I'm just going to duck up onto this bike path just to have my own lane. I'm not having a go here at all. I'm curious as to your thought on this, because Marlon, she's up there. She's in the mix, 3Ks to go, bike path, game over, disqualified. Whew.
Yeah, Marlon Russo. Well, I mean, the rule is you cannot ride on the bike path, and they don't shut them off because that doesn't make sense, and logistically it would be nigh on impossible, but it's also where a lot of the fans stand. But that was the issue. She literally ducked behind the fans, so separating the race and herself going on a bike path with a family standing in the middle, very dangerous.
Yep.
So aside from the fact that it's not very sporting to try and gain an advantage by using a bike path, to go put fans in danger like that, I think is also not so cool. Although I'm not suggesting she made that decision in the moment going, I don't care.
And if I take a couple down with me, so be it.
Yeah, it's not like that.
No,
You
Is that
see
a brain
it,
explosion?
Oh, yeah, you know better.
Yeah,
and she would have known better. She would have been pretty disappointed, but known better.
Formula One in Melbourne on the weekend, Daniel Ricciardo went over the track limits, paid the penalty, but he's going 280 kilometres an hour. But again, they know the rules.
Yeah.
So the rules are the rules, and sorry, mate, you're done. You're cooked.
Yeah, I think it was a fair ruling.
Yeah, okay.
We often, have our grievances with the UCI and how they do things, but
us? No.
But on this occasion, I support the commissaire.
Honorary nickname for Pedersen, Mads Pedersen, Taming the King. We're going to call him Detroit from now on in honour of the Pistons, I think.
That was really interesting, wasn't it? Because there was that whole, how do we neutralise Michael Jordan kind of thought.
How do you beat the unbeatable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a thing that the teams have to turn their attention. And have we seen it? Like, have we just kind of witnessed with Lidl-Trek a way to do that, a way to tame the beast?
Logan Jones-Wilkins wrote a great article in GCN, go check it out, about how the Pistons, neutralised Jordan.
Yep.
And have they found a way to neutralise the King?
We shall see.
You love your cross-sport.
I really do.
You do.
I wish the Brisbane Broncos would have found a way to neutralise Nathan Cleary last weekend. This isn't a rugby league podcast, so that's fine.
No.
Moving on. Now, Catherine, Matthew Vanderpool, massive effort, taking him down. Like they say, no one's at his level, so when you get one over him, it's great. Tom Boonen disagrees. Says, no one at Vanderpool's level. Mate, I started my career at that level, and basically all of you for thinking that things are harder these days. And
it's really curious. Tom Boonen's come out and said a whole lot of stuff, and amongst what ostensibly seemed like quite a glowing review of the current stable of riders, he has a few little digs there too.
There's a couple of little chops.
Yeah. He talks about how the riders these days, there's a lot more tech involved, a lot more organised. They are told how much to eat, when to eat. It's all very set out and laid out for them. Mm-hmm. And they don't race nearly as many days as what they used to in his time. And that really he was almost alluding, saying it's easier for them to win and get the job done because it's just all there. It's all laid, they have this incredible support team. It's all laid out before them. Look, there is a point that he makes that with all the science and all the technology, it is pretty, I'd say it is pretty laid out. That's a good way to put it, actually.
He makes that point too,
and he makes that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know that makes it easier. Like, you're still pushing your body to the absolute limit and absolute max, and you still require the mental resilience to get it done. So I don't know that that's a fair thing. But the comment he made also was they know now with science and with nutrition support how to hit race weights for the whole season.
And they get specific targets. For example, he says in the article, you need to be at 5% body fat by this day in time for that, whereas in my day it was like, sort yourself out, we'll see you on race
this
day.
Is how you do it. Here's a 10-week plan to make sure.
Yeah.
But for them, it was just like, starve yourself, good luck. That's why I said he was hungry for 10 years. And I can actually, I feel that a bit because, I was in a similar era to him and it wasn't very nuanced back then. Yeah. It was like quite literally at the dinner table, especially on the Italian teams with the women, the sprinters were told to eat salad and the climbers who were lighter, they could have the pasta and the mozzarella and they could have everything. And that's how they did it.
That's a battle buffet.
They were like, you need to make race weight. You're clearly not at race weight. You clearly are. You have salad. You have pasta. It's more evolved than that.
Are the other climbers sitting there going, no, look at it. Look what we've got. Yeah.
Yeah. But he also said, which I thought was a bit of a dig, that he won more in one season than Matthew van der Poel has won in his whole career.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No, I was fact check on that.
Fact check on that.
No.
False.
Incorrect. Okay.
But his point was they get to really target and be good for what they want to be and don't have to just slog it out.
Where did he write that? Was it on Twitter?
No, it was in a podcast.
Oh.
Yes.
Do you reckon he'd had a few...
Okay, I like that, Merksy, like all jokes aside, because there is a point where he's like, we didn't get this advice. At the same time, literally the next sentence is, I was too proud to listen, so you very well may have got more advice than you realise on reflection that you did get. Yeah. And the other thing he said, I love the fact that these guys these days, they attack from so far out. They've changed the way...
I wish I got to do that.
So it's like, where are we... Where are we landing here, Thomas? I'm not sure.
I think what we need to remember is it comes across, and this is media these days, like a conversation they had in a pub. It just happened to be recorded and distributed. But it sounds like the conversation you'd have with mates where you're having a bit of a whinge and then a bit of a reflection and then you bring it back around. And perhaps if it was edited or put out by his people, there would have been a lot less in there.
Is it also a talent distribution thing? The fact that we've got a crop of riders these days, and we know the top echelon, our big 600 or whatever it's up to, but even the tiers below that are still, there are some impressive riders. We saw some impressive riders in esports the other night. Is there a bigger talent pool? So it's like these riders can target specific events. It seems to me, newish to the sport, that there's something happening every bloody day of the year when it comes to world cycling. Is there a little bit of that in it, that there's just more?
It's kind of
more
common.
Cattle.
I mean, it's common sense. Like if you just dial it back to sport is entertainment.
Yeah.
Sponsors put money into sport because they want to see wins and victories for the team. So how best to achieve that is certainly not to flog them and make them race 150 days a year. But if they only race 50 days a year and that means they have a higher winning percentage and other riders in the team get the opportunity, it just kind of makes business sense, if nothing else.
He also had words for the Americans. Americans in the
He had a lot of words, didn't he?
This is what I mean, the whole pub thing is, and another thing.
Yeah.
Those bloody Americans are far too kind to each other. In my day, it's like, what? Because he talks about Ulrich. And like, look, even though we were, we had the odd hug, but for the most part,
because Boonen was on a team for a year with Lance, and of course Lance came out last week, and I think that's why he got asked about it, because Lance said too friendly, not into that.
Aren't you? What gave that away?
But you seem like such a amicable fella.
And everyone loved you so much. I think there's something to be said. Tom Boonen, incredible. You cannot deny his impact on the sport. But he's 7 years retired as well. So much has changed
he's
even
got
in that
the legs.
time.
Let's not forget he's immortalised with his legs.
But sport evolves. And once again, I'll do the cross-sport thing. People talk about this all the time. In cricket, the bowlers are a bit faster than they used to. But, geez, they get looked after. They get put in cotton wool. They're skipping every second game. rugby league. Oh, it's harder and faster, but gee whiz, more players seem to be walking off hobbling and with bad knees. It's like, yes, there are advancements and there are retreats in professional sport as it continues to evolve.
But in everything, nobody who, when they're seeing the new iPhone launch, is saying, oh, well, I had to use the old dial-up. Like,
back in my day.
That's a good comparison.
Thank you.
It is a really good...
Thank you. Yep.
That was a soundtrack to my youth, wasn't it? Okay, speaking of soundtracks, you know what? It's a sort of thing...
I think that's actually a modem, isn't it? A dial-up modem?
It sort of sounded like...
I think that's a modem.
Thank you. Now, it's the sort of thing you could take, pitch your case about how sport used to be better back in the day. You could take it all the way to the White House, couldn't you, Kate? And that's pretty much what you guys did on the weekend. I still can't get my head around this. You actually went for a ride with the president.
We did. We were not...
Joe Biden himself.
Merksy. Cut it.
Sorry,
wrong president.
Okay,
sorry, guys.
Nice to see you.
Sorry.
Nice to
wrong
see you.
show, guys.
Oh, what? Hang on, what?
Sorry, wrong show. I thought I was on a different show. The ABC.
So we didn't. Just to clarify, we did not ride with Joe Biden.
Sorry. Wrong president. Sorry, guys.
I would have gotten him an e-bike.
I've mixed up my notes here.
If we did. No, we rode.
Chaz. Yep.
We rode with David Lappartient, president of the UCI.
Yeah.
Well, that's all. Just as a Steve.
Yeah.
Hello, David.
He's 70 years younger than Joe Biden. At only 50. He's only 50.
We did a wee little river loop.
Excellent.
Around Brisbane.
There you go. There's Kate.
Yep. There we
are.
are.
Having a point.
Bike Bug were kind enough to give us a beautiful Colnago
for the president, yeah.
For El Presidente.
Great.
For him to ride, and some beautiful lake shoes and a Duro helmet.
Oh.
So he got the full treatment.
Looked after,
He did get looked after. And we took him for a little ride. We had a few others along. Scott McGrory came along.
Yep.
We also had a couple of the junior cyclists from Queensland, which was really cool. Hayley Jones,
great,
who rode Commonwealth Games and World Championships for England, but has an Aussie accent. We're claiming her.
She's ours. Yep.
She's ours.
Forget about it.
And at one point, she was riding behind me next to El Presidente.
Yeah.
And I heard her pointing out and that's the milk factory over there, over on the other side of the river. And this is one of the oldest pubs in Brisbane. And
she's a great ambassador.
Yes, she did a very good job.
Is she a cyclist or an employee of the Museum of Brisbane?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, look, the last conversation I had with him was as we rode through QUT, and there was old government house or old Parliament House?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Old government house. Yeah. And I talked to him about the building, and he said it's a beautiful building, and I said that's where Lamingtons were invented. So we really talked about the hard-hitting stuff.
All the important issues, and it's such an interesting lens into our infrequent critique of the UCI.
Well, look, his next question was, what is a Lamington?
Yes.
Or the big topics. But did you know he was a mayor? He was a mayor in France.
He was of a region in Brittany. Now, this is actually interesting. I did not realise he's also the president of the French Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Fock.
Is he a focker?
I
didn't realise he'd been focked.
Is that what it's called?
I don't think it's called.
Fuck off. You're kidding me. Is he?
I don't think it's called.
I think it is called Fock.
Anyway, he is. You got me.
Okay.
He's the president of that.
Of what? What's he president of? Sorry?
The National Olympic Committee of France.
He's the head focker.
Which is also known as... Okay, no, sorry. Enough of this fucking rubbish. Let's get on with it. Okay, yes.
Right. Anyway, I didn't realise he was such a politician.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
But he also said that he was the chief commissaire at the 2016 Olympic Games for track cycling.
Okay.
Which I didn't realise he'd come through the commissaire path.
Did you?
And he had to resign when he first joined the management committee because he can't do both.
I had a great chat to him, and I asked him about media and podcasting, and I said, mate, what's your favourite thing to listen to? And he...
Hello, I'm David Lappartient, the UCI president, and this is the Wheelhouse.
There you go. Who knew, right?
Well,
there you go.
Straight from the
El Presidente. Hail to the chief. Look, that's awesome and completely... you didn't have to encourage that at all. He just came out and said that. Hey, Mercy.
He did. No, look, he was really interesting. And apart from the fact that we were talking about women's cycling, he's got 3 daughters.
Yep.
All young, from young teenage down. And so he was quite, interested in listening to what I had to say about that.
Yeah.
But we were also talking about how the documentaries, Unchained, Netflix, all this content and access has provided quite a unique problem for them that, look, we'll also put it out there at this point that we've had a lot of discussions that they don't foresee a lot of problems.
Okay.
Maybe other people do. Around, that they're not necessarily, they're very stuck in the moment or in the past, not necessarily thinking what could happen. Anyway, the Netflix rose the popularity amongst the younger generation who then came onto the roadsides for all of the races. The Tour de France was a really good example.
Yeah.
But this younger demographic, brought with them a bit more enthusiasm, a bit more booze, and just much larger numbers. And so crowd control has become a much bigger issue than ever before.
Yep.
Crowding on the mountains, trying to keep back. And we do see these iconic images of the riders barely being able to get through.
Yep.
And he said it's much worse than it was even 2 years ago because of this younger demographic. So really cool on one hand, but then on the other hand, you go to the Tour of Catalonia last week where Tadej Pogacar was dominating, but he was getting stuck behind motorbikes on the climbs because the motorbikes couldn't even get through the throngs of the crowds.
Well, and also Tadej's so fast. But he also did say next Super Worlds will include gravel.
Yes.
Which is going to be insane. We'll try and get there. We've got his number now.
Gravel, esports.
Great.
He was also, road, all of the disciplines.
Awesome.
Cycling polo. There was another new cycling discipline that we don't have in Australia. Yeah. I'll have to, I can't even remember what it was.
The acrobatic one?
I was interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
And he said, we want to be the home of everything you can imagine on a bike.
Where is it going to be?
So that's a good question, Merksy.
Kate, where is it going to be?
Well, it hasn't been announced yet.
No, he told us.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
no, it's in France.
That's right.
Oh, Corsica.
There you go.
Was there tears in his eyes when he said that?
Feel free to edit that.
Probably didn't read your show notes.
Yeah.
It's not on my show.
We are going back home.
Yes,
okay.
And we came to that point because we were talking about cycling as a postcard and how you couldn't do better for the sport of cycling than really showcasing the cities where it is.
Yeah, as we rode past the milk factory, we mentioned
exactly. No, and the reason we got there is because it was quite a winding conversation. We were talking about how Brisbane City Council is one of the largest municipalities in the world, and it has a huge budget.
Yeah.
And that he was shocked by that. He said, "Wow, that makes such a difference to be able to make decisions." Bearing in mind that he was the mayor of a municipality in France,
100%,
much smaller, and so when we were pointing out and talking about the things that you could achieve, he said, "These are things you could achieve a lot better with better involvement from regions and local councils."
Yep. Great.
Frustration that he'd had. So that bodes well for Brisbane is my point, is that he was impressed with Brisbane. He now knows what a Lamington is. He hasn't tried one yet. I did try and get one to him, but alas.
UCI bans Lamingtons. That'll be the headline for next week's segment.
Then we're not friends anymore. Thank you to Bike Bug for outfitting him too.
Sounds like a fucking excellent day out with the FOC. And I will say, like Brisbane, just north, Moreton Bay, another massive municipality as well, regional council. So, hey, Presidente, we know you're listening because you're a fan of the show. Just stop looking. You've found it. It's here. It's Brisbane.
Well,
Thank you.
And speaking of Bike Bug, this kind of set me into thinking ahead of Tour of Brisbane, Joel, because El Presidente turned up with nothing. He didn't have anything to ride with.
Underpants and that, like he was dressed.
Sure, but he wasn't ready to go riding.
I'm so sorry, we had a big night and ended up in a casino.
That's another podcast where you have no shirt on.
No, so what I've actually done ahead of... you guys are out of control today. Like, who put what in the water?
Anyway.
Let's get back to the domestic.
We've put a list together. I've put a list together of like the what do I need for all of the people who are potentially heading out for the Tour of Brisbane.
Yeah, great.
Very
so I'm
good.
going to put.
We'll go through that.
I'm going to put the link in our show notes, because there's 12 categories, and it's everything from shoes to helmets to pumps to nutrition, water bottles, all of the little things that if you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to go for a bike ride, you remember bike and helmet, but you may not think of all these things in between. And I was doing that, trying to kit out El Presidente, thinking about all of the things he would need to safely go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
So I'm going to chuck that up, because I think that that's really something that I will use as a checklist.
Yep, absolutely.
My own personal packing list.
That's great. Just cross off, because the president's checklist has things like bodyguards, helicopters flying overhead, snipers. You should be okay without that. But everything else on the list, get it into you. It's fantastic. Now, can I give out a Bilby? But I want to call it an Anakin. So I've got Anakin of the week for the performance of the week. It's my Darth Vader helmet. I'll try and send it to Egan Bernal, because I want to just celebrate the massive, massive achievement of getting back on the podium, World Tour podium no less, for the first time since his accident. So that accident, we won't completely recreate the graphic nature of that accident, but let's just say it was a really bad one, 22 fractures. And he's been back racing for a while in amongst the pack, but now he's back. And I love it. I love the heart of this guy to come back. We often, I'm going to get lost for words here because I'm getting all emotional, and it's like we're at the pub celebrating the heroes of yesteryear, but this guy's riding right now, and the courage that he's shown to get back out, not just to full flight, but getting results again is... Give me a sport that can give you that.
Yeah,
I defy you.
First World Tour podium since his terrible accident back in 2022. 22. He won the Giro in 21.
Right.
22 fractures. Aligns very well as well. But he didn't know if he'd walk again, let alone race again. It took him a year to get back into racing, and wonderfully the Ineos Grenadiers were really supportive of his journey. But to have him back, he's such a lovely, softly spoken athlete.
Absolutely.
And he said something really interesting after he got third, which was, I know the journey that I'm on, and I'm so pleased and proud to get back to this level, but I'm not at the level of Pogacar yet, and I didn't try to be. So when he attacked, I didn't try and follow. I was smart and I rode my own race, and I love that because I think that when you've got bigger goals, and when you're using the Tour of Catalonia to get ready for the Tour de France, and you've really cast your view far broader than what you're currently doing, that's smart. He would gain a lot less if he just tried to chase Pogacar, blew up, ended up 10th. So I think that just shows an incredible maturity and support from the team, who have said to him, you know, paddle your own canoe here.
Baby steps, but also you could have lost your life in that accident. Let's be realistic about that.
He seems like a lovely young man, and he's just such an incredible role model to his community, and he's had so much support out of Colombia, and I love it. Like, it is one of the good stories of the bunch.
Can I just also, like, looking ahead and, there's Pogacar. Yeah, there's a chance to really... Oh, wait, he just outpaced a motorbike. I think I might sit back.
Sit back.
Pog's been
decision.
Something else once again. Surprise, surprise, headline of the week. Pogacar surprises no one in Catalonia. Yeah, fantastic.
Catherine?
Yes,
Just
Moxie.
a fact check.
Yes.
It's his first podium since 2021.
There you go.
Wow, there you go. Okay, thank you, Merxie.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Merxie in the archives, our deep repository of information here on the Wheelhouse Podcast. Facts first. Facts first. Mostly factual, wasn't it the tagline?
Mostly factual.
What's got you excited other than the obvious rivalry that we've already touched on earlier in this episode ahead of the Tour of Flanders?
The obvious rivalry being Wout and Mathieu.
What do we do without Wout?
Do we wait for Wout?
I think we wait for Wout. Will Mathieu wait for Wout in Flanders?
I mean, I want to say it's like the most look forward to moment of rivalry, but we already had it, and, Wout fell off, so there was that. But we are very excited, and by we, the royal we, I mean pretty much anybody interested in road cycling.
That's huge.
Because to have these two head-to-head at Flanders, which is important for both of them in so many ways, but Mathieu with the rainbow jersey, Wout, it's home soil, remember? Yep. And then you look at the march of Lidl Trek and Mads Pedersen, and you realise it's actually far more open than what it may have appeared to be. It's not a two-horse race. And the more that Wout and Matthew look at each other, the more opportunities there are for lead or trek.
That's massive. So, I think
it's exciting.
I'd love to get Tom Boonen's thoughts
take on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Few schooners in, you reckon?
Bloody amateurs.
And see what's Tom got to say. That could be a segment.
Yeah, what Tom thinks.
What Tom thinks.
Yeah, hacks.
Yeah,
bunch of hacks.
And we'll just get him on to get his view.
Yeah, I like it.
On very specific topics.
Yes. Look, excited, but these are the rivalries that are worth turning up for. They don't get boring because it's a swinging pendulum. But when another rider comes in, as we've seen, and completely upsets the apple cart, it just keeps keeps the juices flowing.
And one of the reasons these races are so important is because there's so much history, but there's so much variability. It's not easy to win, even if you are the best bike rider on the start line. And I think that brings so much anticipation to the racing as well. On the women's side, Lotte Kopecky, this is her big moment to win on home soil in the rainbow jerseys, 2 times Belgium champion. She's so popular in this region. They just love her. There'll be a lot of pressure on her shoulders. But so far this season, I think it's fair to say she's delivered.
She puts the blinkers on big time, shuts it out, shuts out the noise. Yeah.
Yeah, so but we've also seen that Wiebes, she'll have to take a bit of a back seat.
Yep.
To Kopecky for Tour of Flanders.
Awkward.
Balsamo and Lidl Trek come in with a really strong team. Lizzie Diagnam will be back. Ellen van Dijk, who is, we spoke about her a couple of weeks ago, winning first race back after maternity leave.
Yep.
She's back. They've got...
That's a stacked field.
It's a stacked field and a stacked Lidl Trek as well. Aussie Loretta Hansen is so heavily relied upon by that team, by Lidl Trek, to deliver her. To deliver her riders to the finish in good form. So
I thouut you were pausing. You to deliver her from evil or something like that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so.
Tips. So should we get the Wheelhouse roundtable tipping competition going? Because why not?
I think why not Wout?
Why not Wout in the men's? Merksy?
All right. Bling.
Ooh. Oh, there you go.
Bling.
Left field.
Look out.
Michael Matthews. Okay.
I'd love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it.
What's got you excited there, Merksy?
No, I just think it's time.
Okay.
It's time.
It would be tremendous. He doesn't have the same record over cobbles.
Yep.
He's stronger in the sands cobbled classics.
Okay.
But he's got good form and so much can happen.
I'm going to go...
So much will happen.
So much will happen.
Hungry MVDP.
Ooh.
Not as hungry as Tom Boonen after not eating for 10 years, but hungry after being
he's
pipped
hungry.
at...
MVDP isn't as hungry. We can confirm that.
Oh, he's a strapping unit. But honestly, just the end of that race and seeing him go, I've lost. I have lost today. Add a sentence to that, but I will return. And with greater strength.
I'm going to go for a wild card in the women's.
Go on.
And I'm going to say that Lizzie Diagnam is going to go in an early move that doesn't come back.
I love that.
I don't mean early.
How early?
I don't mean 100k to go. I mean 35k to go. With a small group, and that neutralises Lidl Trek, and SD Works are kind of looking at each other, and they have a rider or two up there, but not Kopecky.
Yep.
That's what I'm...
What's your take on the early moves as a pro? Do you sit all Boonen and go, gee, I wish I could ride my guts out for 100 kilometres longer than I used to every day?
You got to have big knockers to do it, I tell you.
Big thighs, like Tommy.
Big knockers?
Yeah.
Can we say that?
What did he say the other day? Big cojones?
Yeah, cojones.
You got to have the minerals.
Well, I don't have cojones.
Fair.
So I've gone for knockers.
Breaking news.
Fair enough. Okay, no worries.
Oh, dear.
You could have just let that go, by the way, Merksy.
Wow.
You could have let that sail through.
Got my attention.
I can't wait for next week's editorial meeting. Fantastic.
I don't think I'll be invited.
Go to all of the knockers, knock them dead out there in Flanders. Now let's just wind up.
I'm devastated by where we're going now after we've just talked about knockers. Could not be worse. But
we
here
knock
we
it
go.
to the heart of religion. We are actually going to the Vatican. We're going to the Vatican City, inside the walls of the Vatican.
I am so sorry.
We are. I'm not even joking here. We are segueing to the Pope, and we're not here to knock the Pope or knocker the Pope by any stretch. But the Pope receives a lot of gifts. The Pope, some in post, receives a lot of admiration from around the world. And that extends to the world of cycling. So recently the Pope was given a gift, Kate.
Well, a few years ago, he was given, to go back to Egan Bernal, a bike, a beautiful Pinarello that was painted in the Argentine colours of the Pope with his name on it.
Lovely.
The papal seal, I believe, was on there as well as a signed Maglia Rossa from the Giro d'Italia after Bernal won that in 2021. This was given to him, and Bernal, in fact, said that meeting the Pope and giving him this gift was a far greater honour than winning any bike race, than winning the Tour de France or the Giro d'Italia. It was the moment of his life.
Yeah, cool.
So a beautiful moment.
That's awesome.
Until he saw it on eBay this week.
He hasn't.
It went up for auction, the bike and the jersey.
But to be fair, how's he meant to ride it with that big white robe thing?
Oh, yeah, the spoke.
Get caught in the chain ring.
Yeah, but surely he'd have some long johns underneath or something.
Oh, let's not go there.
The papal nicks. The papal nicks.
Yeah, we have to be very respectful, I think, in this conversation. And I kind of ballsed that up at the beginning.
No, well, okay. Basically, we're saying the Pope was gifted a bike. Said,
Yes.
Thanks so much. Great bike. Is it long enough now? Great. Start your
Selling
bids.
it, yes. Well, look.
Do you know who else gave him a bike?
Who?
This guy.
Oh,
And do you think he sold that one?
there you go.
No, he didn't.
Pedo.
No, he didn't. He's
Yeah.
still got that one.
So
And why wouldn't ya?
Sagan also gave him a bike.
Yeah.
And a free night at the resort.
Yeah.
So keep your eye out on eBay for
Nah,
that one.
nah,
Is
nah.
what I'm.
Why
I mean,
didn't
how
he
many
keep the
bikes?
bike?
What's he gonna do with
Hang
all
it
the
up in the
bikes?
Vatican.
Well, be on the throne, like the throne. Doesn't he have like a throne he sits on?
I don't think it's
Pope
called
Mobile.
throne.
Forget about it.
It's
Oh,
not a
that's
throne.
true.
Active transport. Hello.
This
Get the
is
Pope
true.
riding
Well,
a bike.
look, he auctioned it for his charity.
Oh,
So
right.
So awkward.
£12,000.
Which is good because the
bike
Vatican
got.
is a bit short on some cash. So
Yeah, fair call.
yep,
Well, they're good
Yeah.
for the charity.
very good for the charity.
Very good for the charity.
Very good.
Thank you, Pope. HRH, what do we say? Your Holiness. Your Holiness, of
Your
course. Thank you. Look,
Holiness.
I love it because it's re-gifting, but with a slight amount of care. Where it's not like that awkward 3 Christmases later. We're like, here you go. I've had a very thoughtful gift for you. Oh, great. It's the bike you got me 3 years ago.
Well,
it's
fun
not quite
fact,
that,
do you know
but it's
that
close.
if you go training in Italy and you go through Vatican City, you have to take your passport?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And there was a rider from Vatican City at the last Olympics and at
Yes.
the World Championships in Wollongong.
That's
First
right.
ever.
That's right. Well, remember we were getting
Yeah.
quite excited
We
about
were.
that because it was like, wow.
Yeah.
He was probably now it all makes sense. He was riding the Pope's bike.
Yeah.
They
Maybe.
could have given him that bike. That would have helped.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were getting rid of the bike because they have an official bike partner.
Success starts at the top.
Should we?
Your Holiness.
Should we put a bid on? I reckon we buy the Pope's bike.
It's already gone.
12, yeah.
Sorry,
It's already
I wasn't
gone.
listening.
We're a Colnago family here anyway.
That's okay. From presidents to popes and Vanderpools and everything in between, it's the Wheelhouse Podcast. I think we've covered everything.
Don't knock it till you try.
Well, actually, Katie, I've done some more research. I've been busy today.
Yeah.
It's not called the FOC. The
I-
French Olympic Committee is called the NOC.
See?
The NOC.
The
Not the
NOC.
FOC.
Hence
The
knockers.
knock.
There you go. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. He's head.
Yep.
He's chief knocker.
Yeah.
Not. Okay.
I hope he had the knockers. Well, don't worry, he does, and they're often right here in this bunker. But hey, El Presidente, it was great to go for a ride with you, even though I wasn't there. Kate, Merksy, well done.
It was a pleasure.
Well, and guys, no worries
It was
for doing
his
all this
pleasure.
research on the fly. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Merksy. Now that you're fueled by your penne.
Merksy in research. So Merksy's on Matthews for Flanders. I'm on MVDP. You're on Wout.
Yeah.
I'm. By the way, I said Ellen Van Dyke. I didn't get to do my
And
tip
I'm
for
on
the
Lizzie.
women's.
Yep.
Your Lizzie died, and
I'm,
Merksy, your
I'm
tip.
Kopecky.
Lotta
Oh,
Kopecky.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot to like about her prospects as well.
Easily.
Let's see how we go. Someone write these down and we can taunt each other with them next week. Egan Bernal, congratulations on winning the first ever Anakin. I'm not giving you this one, but we'll send you something.
And a happy Easter.
And happiest of Easters to
Yes.
all of you, except for the Pope, who's
Yes.
a re-gifter.
Yes.
Wow.
So here, I got you some eggs. Oh, thanks, Pope. That's from last year.
I don't think you call him Pope. Anyway.
No, don't call him Pope. Call him His Holiness.
His Holiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll try and get him in.
Yeah, he's... Oh, wait, I thought he was already booked.
We'll see.
Okay, great. Wheelhouse Podcast.
Bye.
Like, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know. Very special thanks to Bike Bug. Thank you for the kit for the El Presidente. Made us look great. And it's just been a fun ride.
And all that jazz.
Exactly.